Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see that some people are triggering in our event today. In the meantime, I wanted to say a warm welcome to everyone to the sounds of the Chicago River. I'm delighted to be here with Josh and my partner Elisandro Garcia, and we are bringing you a workshop that is very dear to our hearts. It's been a workshop that we've been working together with Friends of the Chicago River and the Bridgehouse Museum for over 3 years. Pandemic kind of took away our beautiful performances that we prepared for last year, but we are hoping to actually have one in outdoors and live at the end of this workshop in May. So I'm smiling because I cannot contain my happiness. I'm so looking forward to it. Just the fact that we are going to be playing for live audience, it's changing everything. So again, welcome to the sounds of the Chicago River. First of all, thank you to Josh Coast for being here. Thank you to the Friends of the Chicago River, the Bridgehouse Museum, and a special thank you to the American Indian Center here in Chicago. One of the representative, Fawn Pochel, is gonna be working with us on session number 2, number 4, and 6. And she's bringing a lot of different knowledge about the relationship between nature and the natives that have been long before us in here. Let me admit some more people that are coming in. So I'm very excited to have her over with us in session 2, 4, and 6. And I hope everybody can join us for that as well. And we wanted to start by saying a little bit what we are going to see or what we are going to do today. And overall, this workshop, as a musical ensemble, we have been working on this project about how nature can play a big part on creating music, creating art, how we can actually talk to composers who we commission music from, and they are using pre-recorded material, pre-recorded sounds from nature, and intertwining them with music that they write. And even we had a composer who actually wrote music for water instruments. His name is Sean Opabolo, and it's beautiful music. So in this workshop, we are gonna kind of investigate all these concepts in a more personal way. We are going to talk about what is my relationship with nature, how a healthy relationship between urbanism, a city, and the nature around it should sound like. We are going to look into how the Chicago River sounds in different places of its course through the city, right before the city, and as it gets into the lake as well. But without further ado, I wanted to give you a little taste of the instruments that we have today here. And please welcome my partner, Elisandro Garcia. Hello, Elisandro, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Sixto. And thank you for all of you for joining us in this occasion. I am Elisandro Garcia and I'm the clarinetist with Fifth House Ensemble. So if you can see here on the screen, the clarinet is made out of grenadilla, very dense wood that it's perfect for woodwind instruments because it allows a lot of resonance for the wood. And then another interesting thing about the clarinet is that I have a single reed that I clip to the top of the instrument. This reed is made out of bamboo. If you haven't seen a clarinet reed, this is what it looks like. Has a very thin top. Then when I blow across the instrument, the reed vibrates against the mouthpiece and produces a sound. There are other woodwind instruments like the oboe and the bassoon that have double reeds. I mean, two pieces of wood that vibrate against each other, but the clarinet has a mouthpiece. And the clarinet is one of the youngest member of the woodwind family. The saxophone is actually younger than the clarinet, but it's a very popular instrument, not only in classical music, but folk music, music from all around the world, because of the tendencies of the instrument. I can play it very soft and also fairly loud, also pretty high and pretty low, a big range of dynamic and also of notes. So that makes it a very popular instrument for composers. There's a family of the clarinets, like the bass clarinet, which is a much bigger instrument, and E-flat clarinet, smaller one. But this is what the clarinet sounds like. And that is a clarinet for you guys.
Very nice. Thank you, Elisandro. We, Elisandro and I, along with our bassist, we actually were at the Friends of the Chicago River Congress 2 years ago, in February, 2 years ago. It's been so long, but we presented a bunch of music where we actually had participants improvising a little bit on the sounds that they heard from the pre-records that we have from the river. And then we started using instruments into creating this very symbiotic piece of music. And we might work a little bit on that, where we put together music, sounds, improvising. The good thing about this, and that's why you guys are here, we want you to participate. And the very awesome thing about this also is that we don't need to be musicians to actually improvise, kind of connect on what we hear, and think about what actually can we bring into a soundscape that is been there, has been there, will be there, even when we are not around. And I'm going to introduce my instrument really quick. Again, my name is Sixto Franco, and I play the viola. Some of you might know this instrument. It kind of looks like the violin. Let me admit some more people over here. It's played the same way, but there is a couple of differences. One is the size. The viola is slightly bigger, not as big as the cello, but just slightly bigger than the violin. Belongs to the string family. And as you could already imagine, it fits in between the range of the violin, which will be the highest one, and the cello. So it's kind of like the middle voice. You see the viola and the string quartets playing a lot of the middle voices. And it's a very important role because it blends all registers together, while the two violins are doing melodies and the cello it's giving the support role. The viola will act almost like a motor and the harmony feeling, connecting all the voices. I've been playing the viola for a few years, and I cannot imagine my life without it. And now with this program that we have, playing along with Nature Sounds has kind of given us a new perspective of what music means. What can we actually bring to people? Does it need to be always written in a certain way? Can I improvise? Can I make a concert in an outdoor space where maybe music can come from a different source rather than a piece of paper as well? And I wanted to show you a little bit how the viola sounds. Thank you, everybody. I see more people coming in. I'm so happy to see so many of you here. And now we are going to get into a little bit of getting to know each other. I see some of the names here, but I wanted to use our feature of the chat. And the next activity is a little bit of like how everybody is feeling. So if you don't mind, go ahead and try to find the chat on the Zoom, which will be directly under in your lower part of the screen. And we would love to see your name and a color that might represent how you are feeling. I see team green, feeling cold, so blue. It is indeed a cold day, heavy snow up here in Chicago. I see some orange and blue, but in a good way. I see from Sharon, just purple for the cold snow. The viola sounds great. Aqua, thank you, Casey. Thank you very much. I see some purple, white for beautiful snow. Indeed, it was beautiful the way it was falling today. Very nice. Thank you, everybody. So since the pandemic, as everybody is so aware of how things have been affecting our life, we in Fifth House Ensemble, we had to adapt to all of this, and we are trying to use as many features as we can, for example on Zoom and the different technologies that we have to actually bring people together and feel a little closer. So the chat is going to be one of those that we are going to be using different ways. And before we go into some more activities, I have a something to share with you. It's a practice that we in Fifth House really want to include in all our workshops, and is to make a land acknowledgement that we recognize that these lands have been inhabited by other populations before us. So I wanted to read a little text that is getting more and more of a special place in our hearts. It is vital to recognize that this country was founded on genocide and the removal of its first peoples. So by doing land acknowledgements, we are starting to recognize a more truthful history of this country. We are providing healing to the land by speaking to it and saying the names of its caretakers or indigenous peoples. In Chicago, we are occupying the traditional homelands of the Odawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi people. Illinois is also the home of the Ho-Chunk, Miami, Inoka, and Menominee, Sac, and Fox peoples. Many of us arrived in this country in a quest for a better life, and many of us came also as enslaved people. It is important to acknowledge that the past is complicated and requires reflection and a dismantling of systems of oppression. It is equally important to acknowledge that Native people are not people of the past. There are over 75,000 tribal members in Illinois, many living in Chicago. And this acknowledgement demonstrates a commitment to beginning the process of working to dismantle the ongoing legacies of settled colonialism. This brings me back to what the purpose of these workshops are. It's actually to reorganize our relationship between nature and use, in this case, sound to actually analyze what's going on around us. What do we have? What do we might need to protect and preserve? And let me take it to Elisandro, because we have been using a technique called deep listening, and Elisandro is going to tell us a little more about it. Thank you, Mary Kay.
So, since the pandemic hit, we were faced with how to keep going with our projects, our residencies, our work reaching into the community. And we had, like many of us, had these hard decisions to make. Where do we go from there? And we found this practice, which actually we have been training for 2 years, called deep listening. Deep listening. It started as a we were very curious about this practice, which was started by Pauline Oliveros. She was a virtuoso accordionist and a composer around the time of John Cage and contemporary composers, experimentalists with electronic music, and just very creative and innovative in the way they perceive sounds and music, and also thinking ahead almost of their time. But one of the stories I like to tell about Pauline Oliveros is like since an early age, I think she got a gift from her mother of a tape recorder. And she started recording outside the environment, outside her window, and then sticking her head out and listening herself to this experience and then comparing the two. And since then, she experienced sounds in this way. And also she asked herself, why is it that music is also, for some people, going to a concert, maybe sitting in a chair, listening, being spectators. And music should be a communal thing. And she believed that the music and expressing music is a birthright. All of us have that birthright. And that relationship with sound is something that we want to explore in our connection with you guys and rivers, nature. And we are very excited to bring this practice to you guys. And deep listening has three parts. One of them is movement, which means basically that you have do very basic physical exercises or movements that kind of get you engaged in with your body, and it gets you in contact with what your body is saying, basically listening to your body attentively. Then the sounding aspect, in which we use text scores, which are scores, really musical score, except that they don't have musical notes or a staff to read the notes. They're just simple instructions written in text, sentences. And the idea is that these texts are very simple and accessible to anyone so that we can all create sounds together. So that's very interesting. And it's an amazing world to go into in this activity. So we're excited to share that with you. And the third part is dreaming, the dreaming part of deep listening. We spend a lot of time, excuse me. My bad. We spend a lot of time sleeping, right? And there's a whole world almost untapped. There's a lot of potential in that world, a lot of information from ourselves, even not to get mystical here, but it's a world that is very interesting. So there's certain types of exercises that get us into this dreaming quality, in which we are also listening to ourselves, to our dreaming realm. So we're gonna transition into a couple movement exercises. And again, the movement exercises are gonna be very simple. They're gonna be just exercises that are just gonna open up, get your circulation going, get your breathing better, because when we relax and we feel this way, then we can hear better. We are more open. So if you don't mind joining me on a few movement exercises, if you don't mind standing up, be great. So the first one is called swinging arms. And this one is actually very simple. You're just gonna start swinging your arms forwards and backwards, very lightly. You can place your feet shoulder width apart, maybe bend your knees slightly, just find a comfortable position and start swinging your arms. As you engage in more motion, get your knees involved in this motion as well. As you get more comfortable with this feeling, Let's get your breathing involved with this. So maybe inhale on the up, exhale on the down. Try to find a very smooth motion that feels natural to you. Everybody's unique. Everybody has their own comfortable motions and posture. Imagine there's a little string pulling you from the top of your head as you're doing this. Okay? Just gradually slow down. Definitely feeling my hands are getting a little bit warmer, maybe better circulation to the hands. It's again a very simple exercise you can do on your own. This one too is called wrap and slap. For this one, you're just gonna move your torso one side and the other. You know, have your belly button direct the motion. So keep your feet planted on the ground. Feel that gravity pull. Yes, you're turning from your waist, one side and the other. As you gain momentum, you start to notice your hands or your arms wrapping around your torso. Maybe massaging your back, your lower back. That's where your kidney area is. So you're saying hi to those kidneys. Wrap and slap. I think the slap comes from that. You can see my back of my hands hitting my back, my lower back. It feels good. Also, the turning around, loosening up of the muscles, relaxing. Keep on breathing deeply as you do this. Slow down your motion. We're gonna come to what is called a dynamic stop. You stop, but you're actually, your body is still feeling the motion. Your blood circulation is greater than 5 minutes ago, even. The last activity we're gonna do for movement is called 3 big gulps. Basically, you're gonna take big breaths. You're gonna raise your hands on your side. As you go up, take a huge inhale. And then when you reach the top, bring your hands through the center of the body and bring the energy very slowly through the center or the core of your body. Let's take another breath. Big gulp. You reach the top, join your hands together, bring the energy down the center of your body. Let's do another one and get a huge intake of air on the way up. Then exhale, bringing all the energy of the world through the center of your body. Thank you very much. I don't know about you, but I feel a lot more calm. You mind making, if you have comments about this activity, we would love to hear your feelings, experience, what you're feeling right now. My hands are very warm and they feel maybe a bit swollen. I'm not sure. Yeah, I need to move them more. But let's see. Clear my brain every time. Oh, Sixto, you said that. Yes, I agree. Excellent. So yeah, please use the chat function. If you have any comments or anything, we are very curious always to hear what you have to say and what you're feeling, because everybody has a different journey in these activities. All right. The next activity I'm going to join you for is actually called Joints and Juice. And for this one, I'm going to start you guys. We're going to create this as a group. And for this one, Sixto, you have the text for joints and juice.
Yes, for sure. And before we go into the text, I would encourage everyone to turn on your cameras, because this one is gonna use something that we will be using later about sounds of the river, for example, and its imitation through body as well. So all of those who wouldn't mind like turning their cameras on, we can actually see how everybody engages with everybody. Joints and juices. We love these ones in Fifth House. It's another text score that tells us very easy commands. And today it's a special occasion because you're gonna hear a very beautiful piece called Hands that Elisandro is gonna be playing. So it goes as follows. Every movement that you're gonna be doing, it's initiated from your joint. And many joints can be moving at once, or as little as one joint may be moving at a time. The movement of movements you are doing are derived from the flow of fluids in your body and an awareness of blood circulating and pumping, and acknowledgement in your movement of how we are made up of 70% of water. Talking about rivers, we need to talk about the water that is in within us. Move through space if you feel like in a non-ordinary timing or tempo. And I would love to direct your attention to your hands, for example. And I wanted you guys to take just a second to look at your hands and kind of find the uniqueness of your features that make your hands absolutely yours. Be aware of the lines that you see, how long your fingers are, how thick or thin they are. You can look at your palms or the reverse of your hands. And when you're ready, I would like to each of you just to focus with or on one joint of your hand and give it a command to just move it. Just one simple movement. And by doing this, we're going to start feeling a little inside that movement. How is your bone moving? Do you feel like your fluid changes in within that finger as well? And I would like everybody to start moving maybe another joint or change the joint and slowly start moving or adding more motion into your hands. Always feeling that that motion comes from within. And as you are investigating on your range of motions, go ahead and maybe change the motion to something different. And as we do this, I would like you guys to maybe get a little closer to your camera with your hands and show these movements in a like bigger scale. Take a look around your screens and look at some other person hands. And if you see that something that you like or you're intrigued, you can pick it up as well and make it yours. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us in this beautiful piece. I thought it was absolutely gorgeous. And I know that for the first time doing these type of exercises might feel a little too new and a little, sometimes maybe a little too exposed. We've been there many times and we definitely understand that. But out of that, I thought it was beautiful. And I wanted to open the floor before we move to our next listening piece to anyone that would share, that would love to share some comments. I saw that we are water from Margaret. That's beautiful. And Sharon says, "See anemones." Very nice. Feel free to unmute yourself as well if you wanna comment what you thought about it as a participant or as a viewer as well. Thank you, Lisandro. I love that piece.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Hands. Would you like to tell us who the composer is?
Yeah, Casey Weiland is the composer. So this is a fairly recent written piece. And actually, I came across this piece because a student, a clarinet student at the Fresh Ink Festival, which is our summer music festival at Fifth House, he played this piece. And when I closed my eyes, and all I could visualize is hand motions. But this was before we started doing any deep listening. And then one of our mentors came up with joints and juice, these exercises, and we started all making these gestures, and this piece came to mind right away. So I thought about joining together the efforts, and this works beautifully for me because I was not actually reading entirely how, note to note the piece, but I was reacting to what I saw on the screen from you guys. So it's a communal effort in a way, and it's a creation which is unique to this moment and to all of us.
It's very nice. Cameron, I was able to become more aware of my body and the feelings in my hands that I am usually. Thank you, Cameron. Beautiful observation. So sometimes we think in Fifth House that if we want to be more in tune with our surroundings, or the nature that is around us, sometimes we need to start by being more in tune with ourselves as well. And once we've done that, we're gonna go listen to some water sounds. And in the next activity, we are going to be hearing a couple of different soundscapes around us. One, I'll tell you once we are done where they are. For the first one, I would love to go back to the chat as well. Feel free to stay with the camera on. Feel free to take the camera off as well. We're going to be just listening to it. And we're going to take just 1 minute to just listen to these sounds. Elisandro, let me know if it comes through a thumbs up. I love that one, pure and simple. For the next thing, I'm gonna play this track one more time, and I want everyone to go to the chat and write what you're feeling. What are the emotions that you that this soundtrack makes you feel, or what do you hear? These are beautiful. I wanted to ask everyone to look at the chat for a second and read all of the different beautiful thoughts that came through from all of you. And as we promised, there will be some sounding on this workshop. And the first one, it's very, very easy. as we read these beautiful thoughts, I wanted to ask everyone to unmute themselves and choose a few of these comments. And as your own timing, whenever you want, you can read them aloud. And as you hear some of them being read, choose the ones that haven't been read. And we can start anytime.
Moving through water.
It's calming and lovely.
Always have loved the sound of rapids rushing water.
And cupping water.
Soothing.
Flowing.
Sound of a canoe bow moving through water. Bow, pardon me.
Feeling relaxed.
Paddles.
Moving through water.
We are water.
A bubbling stream with a wild animal walking carefully through.
Water turning.
Sitting on the bank of a river.
Flowing.
Paddles, movement, content.
Hiking
Hiking along
a river.
the rivers, discovery break. Discovering rivers in our area, and this brought me to my special places. Here's gonna be a different track. Let me know if you hear it.
That's why it's called the Wild Mile.
I'm curious. That was a different track, but what do you guys hear? Anyone would like to share if it was a lot different? If they heard some more noises, sounds. I see some traffic, very different, more birds, more city sounds, urban sounds mixed with nature. Red-winged blackbird, North Avenue, a Canada Goose, a canoe. Somebody knows their birds, Margaret. Canoeing Chicago River, along the wild mile. Ocean waves breaking with the calls of gulls. Very nice. I see, and I was expecting this, like some of our participants would know about the wild mile. And Sharon, would you be able to explain what you know about the wild mile?
I know it's an area along the northern part of the Chicago River to reestablish some native flora and fauna, especially flora. Like, I don't know as much about it as I should, but it's like it's like an island, right? I mean, Margaret could answer this. I just know a little bit about it.
Margaret, I think you've been voluntold.
Sure. So the Wild Mile is a project between a nonprofit group in the city of Chicago where they've installed floating islands along the North Branch Canal in Lincoln Park near North Avenue. And it's a series of floating wetlands that have, as Sharon says, there's floating habitat. And the idea is to create habitat in a place in which otherwise it would be void because it's got seawalls. So they've been growing steadily over the years. It's a pretty magical place. A lot of wildlife and increasing wildlife. And they're doing a lot of scientific experiment too, to see what works in an urban river.
Thank you so much for explaining that. I'm so excited that this is happening in Chicago. I know one of the founders, and I cannot believe how amazing this project is turning into. And it's been such a wonderful opportunity to possibly use the Wild Mile as a stage and do all these different activities and present a different concept of what a concert could be and how close music can get into nature as well. So I saw a few other comments about traffic, urban sounds with mixed with nature, and I wanted to tag into that. What kind of sounds were urban, for example, or the traffic? Mary Kay, I was wondering if you could explain a little more in detail what kind of traffic do you hear? Or it could be any other person for sure. Large fans, possibly, yeah, in big buildings, factories, things like that. Cool. So I wanted to present these two kind of contrasting soundtracks. One of them was right at the border on the Michigan Lake, right at the beach. I think it was north of Chicago, and the other one was precisely kayaking along the Wild Mile, as Margaret and Sharon pointed out. And yes, we it's two different examples of almost the same ecosystem, because we live in this area that it's first so close to the Michigan lake, but also along the Chicago River, that offers us nature and all these sounds related to water, not really far at all from us, but the change on landscape and soundscape, it's quite substantial when we follow the river into the city as well. And I invite everybody to give it a thought and experiment these different landscapes that we have so close to our reach as well. And I'm looking at the clock, and we have one more activity that Elisandro is gonna walk us through.
Yeah, this activity, it has to do with our contact with nature and how this has, the last few months really have altered or modified the way we feel about our contact with nature. So this piece is called Environmental Dialogue. Since last March, we're all spent so much time of our life in Zoom. We had to put a lot of time into thinking about what environment we show on screen, our background, our lighting, and any sounds going on around us. For this piece, we're going to forget all of that. Take a moment now to turn off your cameras. Find a place in your home where the sounds are active. You might open a window to hear the sounds outside. Move to your kitchen where family members are in conversation, or sit by the washing machine as it does its work. Take a few moments and listen to these sounds as if they are music. Using your ears and microphones, let your attention move between the sounds you hear without judgment. All sounds are musical. When the time feels right, unmute yourself for a few moments to invite us into your sonic space. As you listen, imagine yourself in that new environment. As we go, let the sounds increasingly layer on each other. This is our collective piece. Environment sounds sounds happen all around us, in our homes, everywhere, nature. And I think becoming aware, sharpening your hearing to hear all the little details. I love this activity in which we are off the hook with the camera. We don't need to be on camera, but then I found myself finding different focus of attention. I don't know about your experience. And of course, if you want to comment on the chat, that would be great. Or if you'd rather speak with your feelings, that would be great too.
Yeah, Lisandro, I love this one also. It's kind of magical. Like now that we are having these Zoom opportunities that we when we are allowed in uh, different places, we can hear what's happening in other rooms, in other places in the world, and it's interesting to be sitting in your own chair and listening to other realities that people are going through. And when combined all these sounds, it makes such a unique piece of art in that sense. I wanted to hear from some of our participants. Just mostly urban sounds where I am, snowplow, but also can hear humming from our appliances and neighbors talking. Mm-hmm. So young every day have rhythms of their own, true thing. If only we pause to take a listen. Thank you so much for that. Or if only we pause to take a listen. So fun making a composition with you all. Cameron, that's a very good point. And that was one of my an always question. Is this music? If it's it can be considered a composition. My house is so quiet right now, says Margaret. Usually a barking dog. It was wonderful to hear the cacophony elsewhere combined. Yes, these are all beautiful, beautiful experiences. The good thing is that every one of us feels it in a different way, even though we are making it at the same time. I know we are running out of time, but I wanted to leave a couple of minutes for some questions, if there are any. All right. Very cool. Just a comment to thank everyone for joining us. Yes. Thank you, Su Young. This was lovely. How do I find out more about your events activities? Yeah, so this is a workshop that we are going to be doing for 6 sessions. And the next one will be next week, I believe. And next one, I will love to invite you all back because we are going to have our friend from the American Indian Center, Fawn Pochel, who is going to bring some of the native practices for us that are very related to deep listening as well. And our session number 2 is next in 2 weeks, February 18th, on the same link as well. Just, I know that you guys have some events on your webpage, but I'm gonna post our web page over here, Fifth House Ensemble, fifthhouse.com. You can find some information there and other events that we are doing all over the city and beyond. And all of these are virtual and a lot of them are public, so you are more than welcome to join us. And keep an eye out, because we, at the end of this workshop, we will have a performance with some materials that we are going to be creating through the workshops, but also the hand drum ensemble from AIC will join us. So you'll get to hear some music from our program, Rivers Empyrean, and some performances from the hand drum ensemble. Thank you very much. And we hope to see all of you again at next session with more activities, imagination, sounds from the river, and we'll hear from Fawn as well. Thank you, Cameron. And we'll see you soon. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening. Thank you, Jazz. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.